your elected officials getting together in your communities and deciding they want to work together. That's the simple way of putting it. I have no objection to collaboration as long as I, as a citizen, can weigh in on that and to have some say over it. And there's transparency, so we know what's going on. Regionalism, there is no transparency. They lie, they cheat, they use Saul Alinsky tactics to steer us in the direction they think we should go. As they said the other night, we think we had to have more parks in Geauga County. And so there is a distinction there that I think is important. This is, by the way, your connected bicycle pedestrian. So feel comfortable that when you get pushed off of your car into a bike, you're going to have a lot of places you can go. Be good about that.
What do you do in the snow, though?
What's that?
What do you do in the snow? It's hard to ride a bike in
You
the snow.
sissy! You sissy! Come on!
Somebody got a
Get with the
program.
program! You'll warm up. Alright, so, the last thing, what can you do? You made the first step tonight. I'm going to tell you the secret. You can't share this with anybody when you leave here, but I'm going to tell you the secret right now on the thing that will have the biggest impact on how to fix this. Are you ready?
Yeah,
Okay,
please.
so I'm going to ask you to do one thing for me. Stand up. You just did the one thing that will stop all of this. Get off your dead butts and go do something. All right, thank you. That's it. Anybody got any questions?
Skip will be, you can go ahead and sit down. Skip will be available for questions afterward. We got a couple of things to wrap up, and I promised, Ron Young asked to get to speak to us for a few minutes because of the shenanigans that occurred down in Columbus this week. And so Ron Young, the state representative, we'd like to have him come and speak to us for a few minutes, and then we'll wrap this up this evening. So welcome our representative.
Well, this is probably the toughest week I ever had in Columbus as your representative. Yeah, actually, in many ways, I'm no longer your representative. No, well, I might as well have been. But what the governor did with the controlling board was negate the representative republic that we have here in Ohio under our Constitution. The way he did that was to approve Medicaid expansion through what's called the controlling board. The controlling board is made up of 7 members, 1 appointed by the governor, and 6 appointed by, 3 by the president of the Senate, and 3 by the Speaker of the Ohio House. And it's interesting, you know, there were 4 Republicans, 2 Democrats, and one member appointed by the governor. Just before the vote, the Speaker of the House, Bill Batchelder, a supposed avowed conservative, the gentleman that approached me and asked me to run again with the understanding that life was going to be different under a speakership of Bill Batchelder. We would have a true conservative as the Speaker of the Ohio House. This true conservative stepped forward and appointed someone who from day one has said that he was supportive of Medicaid expansion. He appointed him to be a member. And of course you can imagine with the numbers, you have 2 Democrats, 4 Republicans. That means that if 1 Republican changes his vote to a yes on Medicaid expansion, the vote is 3-3. And then of course the governor's appointee makes the final call. Well, as it turns out, there was another appointee in the Senate who was termed out. That means he can't run again. And that means he's fishing for some sort of an interesting position in the governor's administration. By coincidence, he voted yes on Medicaid expansion as well. So what that means is that the legislature never get a chance to vote on it. Much like Agenda 21 that Skip was just describing, you have these boards floating all around out there. And of course, one of the members of this board is not elected, it's simply placed there by our governor. So what we saw was a collaboration of Republican leadership in Ohio, fully supportive of Medicaid expansion, embracing Obamacare. You know, Medicaid expansion represents half of Obamacare. It's half the spending of Obamacare. Without Medicaid expansion, Obamacare is absurd. It doesn't work. Obamacare is ridiculous without Medicaid expansion. And it's part of Medicaid expansion. Here we have the highest elected Republican officials in the state of Ohio fully embracing it and fighting for it. Fighting for it. Now they'll all have their rationales for it. You know, if you don't know much about Medicaid, let me just tell you it's an absurd program. You know, the studies indicate that those that are placed on Medicaid, their mortality rates are significantly higher than those with no health insurance whatsoever. With Medicaid expansion, what we find is in other states that have expanded it, that people with good insurance plans are dropped from their insurance plans and forced onto Medicaid because their employers no longer pick it up, because they assume they're going to get coverage through Medicaid. So why should the employer cover them? They pay them a pittance more money and drop their insurance coverages. They go on to Medicaid and they suffer because of it. And it's only reasonable that they would. Why? Well, because Medicaid, the government only pays about half to a physician that the physician would earn if he was treating people on a private insurance plan. So doctors steer away from Medicaid patients. Many doctors refuse to see Medicaid patients. Not only that, when the doctor applies for a claim, it takes about twice as long for the claim to get approved, and they're turned down at a rate of almost twice as much, because the claims are reviewed by government bureaucrats who make sure every I is dotted, every T is crossed. The claims have to be filled out exactly as regulations call for, or they're rejected. So because of that, what happens? Doctors don't treat Medicaid patients in many cases. So Medicaid patients don't get to see their doctors, they don't have access. All too often they need serious medical treatments, they can't find the right specialist in time. It's an ugly, ugly program. And yet we have our leading Republican officials in this state fighting for that, to impose that on people. And this program is not for people that are disabled. It is not for pregnant women with children. This is for young adults with no dependent children. That's the majority of the expansion. These are healthy young adults with no dependent children. I'm very upset. I'm not sure what I'll do at this point. I'm not sure what I can do. But I thought it was important that you folks know what happened and stay tuned, because I think some things are going to happen that the strategists behind these Machiavellian maneuvers have not anticipated. And I believe there should be a price to pay for these kind of actions.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't want to type any more of your time. Skip did a great job tonight.
Thanks.
And Agenda 21 is a critically important issue.
What do we do
Right, I
in the
get-
next election? We got two terrible candidates.
Right, I got two questions. Why is there even a controlling board? I mean, was there any real purpose to it?
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
deal with
Because obviously you've been there for a long time, I mean, why didn't we get rid of it a long time ago?
They deal with all kinds of detailed
More
issues.
minutiae.
Like the way they dealt with it. Yeah, minutia.
But aren't they bypassing, even in that case, they're bypassing the legislative process?
One of their roles is, and this is how they did this, one of their roles is if federal dollars come down, that are in excess of what has been appropriated, which are usually minuscule. You know, the controlling board then has the authority to appropriate those monies. The General Assembly has given them that authority. And that's essentially what the governor did. He had the authority all the time, we knew this, to apply for and receive those federal dollars. But it took the General Assembly to give him the capacity to spend those dollars. So the way he did this was he went ahead and drew down the money, and then he used the provision in the law that says that the controlling board has the authority to spend excess